customer care professional. Say that 5 times fast. So that's whether you work with a utility, a call center, tax collector, clerk's office, we are here for you. Our membership process is very simple and straightforward. We have an annual fee of only $200, and that covers up to 5 employees in your agency. You gain opportunities for networking, webinars, professional development, conferences, and relationships, which I believe is the most important part of what we do. We love what we do and we would love for you to grow with us. So if you're interested in membership or if you have any questions, you can reach me at pclark@tuscaloosa.com, PCLARK@tuscaloosa.com, or you can go to our website at agccp.org and click the member tab, and it will walk you through how to join there. So either way, we're happy to see you, happy to have you here. Thank you for joining us, and I will now hand it over to our Citibot founder and CEO, Mr. Bratton Riley.
Thank you, Portia, so much. And let me just echo what you just said from a vendor perspective. We've been going to AGCCP conferences since 2019, and there's no other conference that we go to that's got more of a family-like atmosphere. You know, all of you on this call, you are folks that represent your residents more than anyone else does. You're in the trenches trying to help them out every day. And it truly is an honor for us to serve you, but also to be in your company when we're all together at AGCCP. So if you're not members, please consider joining and trying it out. It's the conferences in Louisville this year in the fall, and it's going to be great. So I'm Bratton Riley. I'm the founder and CEO of Citibot. We've been building customer service chatbots for local governments for 10 years, focusing particularly on 311 and the call center environment. Here are some of our customers around the country, but more specifically, these are our call center customers around the country. And we're about to announce a new 311 customer that I'll do a teaser that just recently won the AGCCP Best Call Center Award and is viewed as one of the most tech-forward cities in the country and one of the largest cities in the country. So we're very excited about that. But you know, what it means for us in serving 311 is we understand what it's like to be in your shoes. We understand the challenges of operating call centers for local government in terms of retention, technology, staffing, and of course, your metrics, your hold times, your abandonment rates, et cetera, and how important that data is that you all track. We understand your tech stack, which is why we do, as I'll show you, a number of integrations into your CRMs, et cetera. But we've learned so much in specifically working with 311s that, and you'll hear from both Revere, at Nick, and Denver with Laura more specifically about that. So Tanner? So let's dive into Denver. So Laura, tell us a little bit about your story in terms of, maybe your background, and then kind of your Denver story in terms of, when you showed up and how are things going today?
Yeah, happy to. Thank you. Welcome to everybody. I come from a background where before I joined with the City and County of Denver, I was responsible for leading large corporate call centers. So I had an opportunity to come in, and I started out as the director of 311 for the City and County of Denver. And where my chatbot journey started was in my final interview with the CIO. He asked me, "What do you know about chatbots?" And I didn't know much. I knew enough, but not really. I knew some, but certainly not enough. And this was back in 2019. So as soon as I got the job, I started to look into chatbots. And at first blush, what I kind of made the decision of was, if I was a corporation and I needed to be on the cutting edge of this technology, I'd be trying to move quickly. Because I'm now representing a government, I can let this new technology mature a little bit. But I didn't want to be a Johnny come lately to the conversation either. So I started doing due diligence on what was out there. And I started with the big boxes, the Meta, the Google, AWS, and I found very quickly that there was no question I could ask them that they would say, no, we can't do that too. Their bots could do everything, anywhere, anytime. But as I scratched that surface, what I realized was I was going to have to hire developers. I was going to have to hire data analysts to be able to really build this thing. And early on in the game, I came across Bratton, and I honestly can't even remember how, but he took my phone call. So that was like, okay, check one. Somebody didn't offer to have a salesperson call me back at some time in the future. I actually spoke to someone who understood the business and was interested in building it with Denver. And we started talking, and God bless him. For 2 years, Bratton responded to my calls and texts and never sent me an invoice because we had no formal relationship. And in 2021, I finally got the funding, and it was like I needed the perfect storm. I needed to present the business case for the need for the chatbot. I needed to make it still a pretty complex idea understandable at the highest levels of my government, and get the funding for it. And that all kind of came together in 2021. We signed a contract in June. We launched Sunny, our resident-facing, the first and only right now Denver resident-facing chatbot, in March of 2022. So we're just over 2 years. Is that right? 22?
24.
No, 24. Excuse me,
Yeah.
2024. We're just over 2 years in, and it has been an absolute game changer. I have, on the coattails of Citibot's work, myself and the CIO for technology in Denver has won awards for our chatbot Sunny across the country over the last couple of years. We are seeing it this year, but we think it will hit about 40% of our customer service interactions handled that formerly were being handled by people in 311. And that's a significant cost savings to us. When you do the high level map back of the napkin, it costs $4 for one of my agents to take a call. It costs 35 cents for a chatbot interaction. So I'm quickly moving into a world where I don't have to pay people to do things like answer the question, what time are the rec centers open, 50 times a day. They're answering questions about, I want to redo my bathroom. What kind of permits do I need? Or things that are much, much more intricate and really take that human touch and that human ability to help people understand even how to pose the question to get the right answer. And so in Denver, what we say is we want the machines to do the transactional so that our people can do the transformational. And Citibot's chatbot, we lovingly call it Sunny. Because don't tell anyone, but Denver has 360 days of sunshine a year. Don't tell anyone though, because people keep moving here when they find out. But we absolutely count on it. Coincidentally or not coincidentally, we've gone through some fiscal tightening of our belt over the last 2 years. And I have lost 45% of my staff in my 311. So I literally went from 25 agents to 14. My average speed of answer went from 2 minutes to 3 minutes because of the work that Sunny is doing. So I lost 45% of my staff, and I'm able to produce average speeds of answer within a minute of what I was able to do with 25 people. That's Citibot right there in a nutshell. It is exceptional quality. It is exceptional cost per use. And it's a team that really becomes part of your technology stack. You're not a ServiceNow ticket or open a ticket and we'll get back to you after we assign it in 2 weeks. One of my favorite stories, Bratton, if you give me another second, one of my favorite stories is last summer we had I'm sitting at my desk. I get when our agencies send out a press release, I'm on the list, so I get the press releases. And I'm looking at my computer and I see that my Department of Health has sent out a press release. It's already gone out, and it says, if you see a dead bird, report it through Sunny. Now, we were having some bird flu things, and I'm sure you guys are not new to that topic. Well, no one had mentioned anything about birds, dead birds or sick birds to Sunny or our website yet. So once I determined we actually had a real fire drill on our hands, I reached out to Bratton's team, and literally within 45 minutes, Sunny was ready, willing, and able to take everything we needed them to not only tell our people who were asking about sick birds and dead birds, but that could ingest all the information we needed in coordination with our CRM Salesforce and be able to route those cases to public health so they could deal with it immediately. That would have been probably a 2-week or more exercise if we had gone with a big box solution. So Citibot is literally like adding additional staff to your team. That's how quick they are to respond and how professional they are.
Thank you so much. And just a follow-up question to you on sort of the implementation and, what your tech team thought. And
Oh, you mean that conversation where once we were getting ready to sign the contract, and I said, well, before we ink this thing, just so you know, I have no money and no resources. And Bratton was like, yeah, I kind of figured. He'd been talking to me for 2 years at that point, and he was pretty clear that I had no money and no resources. And what I did have was really good leadership in my 311 organization. I have 2 great managers. One deals with kind of the operations side, and one deals with what we call the back end side, which is the knowledge, the technology, and that. So I knew I had really high quality, competent people there. The amount of what I would call IT work that the city and county of Denver had to do, where I had to reach out to my technology services team and say, I need a resource for this, literally was, I think we did 3 30-minute conversations with Citibot, and it was literally to get access to our sandboxes and our technology stack. The rest of it was maybe about 8 hours a week from each of my 311 managers over the course of about 4 months. They were able to do all of the testing in conjunction with Citibot. They were able to do all of the development was all done by Citibot. We basically just had to make sure we were really clear and accurate on what we wanted, when we wanted it, how we wanted it to look. But they offered us assistance in naming our bot, in creating a visual for our bot, in marketing our bot. We didn't even take them up on all the offers that you gave us, but you really made this a turnkey product, and that was key for me, because I literally, I was pushing the chatbot for 3 years with city leadership. Finally got the go ahead, and they were like, okay, let's see what you could do. It wasn't like I had a big team standing behind me that were like, all right, we're going to do this. And I think they were not just pleasantly surprised with the end results, they were kind of shocked. I mean, we were getting 85 to 90% user satisfaction from their actual interactions with the bot right after day one. And it never really dropped from there. We planned on a slow launch. So we kind of planned out like a 90-day, we'll put it on some web pages here. We'll see how that goes, and then we'll add it. It went so well that after the first week, we said, just open it up, and we put it on every one of our 2,000 pages. Now, I will say this, we also spent a significant amount of time prior to this cleaning up our website. We coincidentally had a new regulation around ADD for, ADA for Colorado. And I used that opportunity because we had to go in and kind of look at everything in the website so we could be compliant with this new regulation for the state of Colorado. I said, while we're in there, let's make it AI usable. Let's make it AI friendly. We discovered that the idea of transparency for government, at least my government, was throw it all on the wall and let it all stick there. And if we have everything out there, we can claim transparency, but it wasn't curated well. It wasn't maintained. So we archived half of our web pages after cleaning them up. We reduced the language level on our website to 6th grade, and we did our darndest to remove every acronym. We love our acronyms, but they don't play well with residents or bots for that matter. So we did a deep clean of our website, and that was a big factor of getting good results right out of the box with the bot. But we also put a fantastic bot over the top of it. So I just don't want to leave you with the idea that if you have data that nobody's looked at in 10 years, that you're going to sprinkle Citibot pixie dust on it and it's going to be fabulous. It won't. It's only as good as what you turn it loose on. But if you take the time to curate your root data for it, it's going to do an amazing job for you.
And last question for you before we go to Nick and Revere, and I'll be back. Don't you worry. Tell them a little bit about how we work together and how few people on your team that we work with.
Yeah, I mean, right now I have, I was very fortunate. I hired a guy because of that new regulation for ADA that I told you about. So I was able to get a body for that, because the fines, if you were not compliant with that regulation when it went into effect, were $3,000 per incident. So the exposure was huge. So I hired somebody who had great experience working with ADA compliance. Coincidentally, he happened to be kind of an AI hobbyist. So I was very fortunate. And he has been the guy. We call him Sonny's Lord and Master. His name is Micah Stump. And he is responsible for all of the Sunny world in Denver, plus our ADA world as well. So right now we're supporting Sunny 2 years in, handling 40% of our customer service, saving us, a significant amount of money, as you can see from the slide here. I do it with 0.5 FTE, 1/2 of one headcount.
Thank you so much. And we'll be back to talk about more here in a moment. But one of the things, that we wanted to make sure in this webinar is, Denver, City and County of Denver is a big, big population place, of course, and wanted to contrast that with, smaller community in Revere in Massachusetts. And Nick, thank you so much for being here, bud. Tell us a little bit about yourself and the City of Revere's 311 as it stands now.
Yes, thank you, Bratton. Thanks everybody for being here. So my name is Nick. I'm the Director of Constituent Services here in Revere. That includes the Revere 311 office and the Revere Consumer Affairs office, which runs in partnership with the Massachusetts Attorney General's office. So I've been with the City of Revere for about 8 years now. I originally started off in the mayor's office as the mayor's aide, so quickly gained an appreciation for public-facing roles and people that do work in the public sector. Quick little tidbit about Revere. I'm sure everybody heard of Denver. So Revere, just north of Boston, could get there in 10 minutes without traffic, if that exists. And what you see right here, this is actually, fun fact, this is America's first public beach. Every year there's a annual international sand sculpting festival that brings in hundreds of thousands of tourists to the city. So for a relatively small municipality, we do get a lot of visitors despite our size. So.
And tell us about the 311 initiative. How old is that, and how would you characterize it today?
Yes. So I wasn't the director of 311 at its inception, where it's about on its 6th year now. But the 311 office was established to meet the growing demands of city residents and, to hold the city accountable when people were contacting, the city. Like before, they would, they just read on a piece of paper, and the former administration would call it like the black hole. And now everything's accounted for. We have the service request system. We have multiple ways to contact us, and now to enhance the services even more, we have Piper, who is our chatbot. That has been inspired by there's an endangered bird species, the piping plover, on Revere Beach. So that kind of gave us, the inspo for our chatbot mascot. But yeah, no, it's been great. Revere has a very diverse population, with the majority of residents that, English isn't their first language. So with Piper, they can text us in over 75 languages and instantly be translated into, the language that they speak.
That's awesome, man. And Tanner, can you go to their data slide? So one of the things, and this might be new to you, Nick, is, we talk about a chat, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that means in just a moment. But what's so important is how can we deliver actionable data back to our customers so that they can track what residents are communicating in real time and how they feel about what they're communicating in real time, so that the local government agency knows from a non-anecdotal way, but from a real data-driven way, what are residents communicating to them about, and how does it change, and how do they feel about it? So, we've had almost 3,000 communications since we started with Piper. We break down the topics. You can click on these topics and actually review the actual conversations for each topic. And then, the other thing that we can run reports anytime. We can send you emails when, if a bunch of people ask the same question, or a bunch of people are frustrated about something, or a bunch of people are asking a question that we're not answering because we don't have the information in our knowledge base to answer the question. All of that is to drive real understanding of what your residents' needs are, but also how to manage your content that you are presenting to them in a way that's driven by hard data. So it's great to have a little chat doohickey on your website or wherever, but the data is so important to really help drive the decision-making process, inform your local government as to what's really going on, and work with your communications team to manage the content on your website that reflects the actual needs and the actual actions that your residents are trying to drive with you. Tanner, can you go back to some Citibot slides? Perfect. So just in the one before, Tanner, if you don't mind. So question, and Laura, you could talk about this, but one of the things that we learned in building our knowledge base for local government chat is that y'all have got, your website, you've got PDFs, bless their hearts, as we say in South Carolina, and then you've got tertiary knowledge systems that you might want to make available for chat, whether it's, data that you have in Esri, whether it's, your municipal code, whether it's all your parks and rec content, they get a lot of communications, your court systems, they get a lot of communications. It's like, so we want to take an overall look at what you all want to put in the knowledge base. We never put anything in the knowledge base that is not pre-authorized by you all, but we're not just codependent on the web content and your PDFs. We can integrate into these other systems that you might have, that you might want to make available for knowledge. And then next slide, Tanner. And Laura, this question is to you. So tell us a little bit about your tech stack and how we interact with your tech stack.
Yeah, our primary interactions are our CRM is Salesforce. So what we wanted to allow in the chat was I wanted my residents to be able to request the same type of work of us in the city that a person would request of a 311 agent if they called in and spoke to them. So I needed them to be able to report a pothole through Sunny, request a garbage can, all those, day in, day out type of service requests that the city handles. So we integrated with Salesforce. We tried to keep it simple. We offer up in the chat format the exact same template that our agents fill out if you were to call and talk to them. So it's very standardized. And you can do just about any service request through Sunny that you could do with an agent. We also have grown with Citibot over time. Our primary route data is denvergov.org, 2,000 pages. Each agency has its own section of the website. Each agency has web authors. So they're authoring their own website and tweaking it, putting more information in. We now partner with them really closely on the same data Bratton was just showing, where, hey, did you know, Department of Health and Human Services, you're getting this question pretty frequently on chat, and it's diverting them to a 311 agent. Let's take a look at the website and see what's on there. And we're able to help them keep their website really as optimized for use by residents as possible. So we had an interesting conversation a couple weeks ago. I got this email from our communications people in our courts system, and they are on a separate website, separate systems. And the email said, "Hey, I heard about Sunny, your chatbot. If anyone uses the word court in a chat with Sunny, I want you to refer them to this link," which was the website homepage of courts. That is not helpful. So I had Micah give them a call and just find out, where did that come from? And after demoing for them what Sunny can do and showing them ways that we could support courts, that conversation ended with, okay, now we need to integrate the courts web pages and the courts route data in Sunny, because this is unbelievable. Because they don't have a call center over there. They have a bunch of people who take calls when they're not doing other work. It's not very efficient. People don't think of themselves as professional customer service agents, so they're giving kind of a best effort customer experience. And through a conversation and showing them what Sunny can do, we've now got a whole new relationship to open up with our court system that we didn't have before. We've done the same thing with our police non-emergency line. We were getting a lot of calls coming over there that really were, I would say, slightly escalated customer service situations, kind of at worst. And we've been able to integrate Sunny over there so that we can have people report things like car thefts, but the car's gone. They came out in the morning and the car's long gone. There's no one there to detain, and they need to file a report to help them with their insurance claim. We've been able to get a lot of those types of situations embedded into the chatbot. And I want to say this too. I know you guys are all interested in chatbots, or you wouldn't be here, and I think that's a really good thing. But one of the things that keeps me really focused on this channel as a customer service professional is, right now government is in a position of, it's nice to have a chatbot. Oh, we can save some money. It's kind of cutting edge. It's cool. But we are in a window right now in history where we are about to start becoming government for the digital babies. People come into our world mostly when they become renters, and then even more so first-time homeowners, and stay in our community and start to use various services. As the digital babies get into this market, get into this environment with us, having a chatbot is not a nice to have. Like, they don't call their mommies. They do not want to call their city. They want to be able to report the pothole while they're sitting at the red light that they just got to after they hit the pothole. That's what they want to be able to do. They want to be able to do it on their phone. They want to be able to, they do not want to talk to anybody, and they want to be able to move on with their life. And I really believe we have this window of opportunity to kind of, yeah, we didn't have to jump on AI like corporations did in order to stay competitive, but we do need to get there. It is a cost of doing business. It's this very unique moment in customer service history. I've been doing this for a long time, and never in the history of my career have the audience been clamoring for my least cost to serve option. And I'd be silly not to jump all over this. To go from $4 per interactions to 35 cents is a gift. And to not take advantage of it, and then have people say to me, I had to call you. I didn't like that. Get it together. And that's my most expensive cost to serve option. And people are telling me that that's not their preferred channel. Now, we still have, I still have 3 elderly people in Denver who call 311 every morning at 7:01 when we open. And we will support them till the end. However, we are also acquiring more and more people who are coming into the city and county of Denver who are used to being able to do things on their handset. One of the things we saw really early on, and Bratton jumped all over this, he was like, yeah, it's great it's on your website, but you need to do chat. You need to do text. They're not all on their desktop, their laptop, whatever, when they need you. So we created a 3-digit code through Twilio, a short code, if you will. And I invite you, if you have your phones handy, and I'm sure you do, grab your phone, text hi to hey 311 or 439-311. You'll be talking with the city and county of Denver Sunny chatbot. Ask it questions. Ask what's going on in Denver this weekend. Play with it. I invite you to. You can't do anything that will hurt me. You cannot report a pothole in Revere, Massachusetts. It'll tell you that's not in Denver, so you can't hurt it. But I invite you to go and play with it. And really, we're just starting to see a significant uptick in the text usage. We kind of were slow there. We had 95+% people were using it off of our website for a long time. We're just starting to bump up around 10% is text usage. I think that's where it's going in the future, as more people find it. But this is really going to open up an opportunity for a city at a relatively low cost point, just period, hard stop, but also your cheapest cost to serve and meet your residents' needs around technology. And improve the experience. I don't have to worry about, did Sunny have a bad day yesterday and maybe isn't as nice as she was on Tuesday with my customers. Sunny's always brilliant and consistently so. So there's a lot of customer service advantages to this platform.
Hey, Laura.
Yeah.
The other Laura from Worcester was asking for the number again to text.
Oh, sure. It's hey 311, HEY 311. The numbers translate to 439-311.
Thanks.
Don't you have an out of service area number too?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you don't need it. You need it if you call 311. If you call 311 in Denver, it goes. But if you call Denver outside, it's 720-916-1311.
Fantastic.
But you don't need it for the short code. No, in fact, I just did a presentation Monday down in Orlando with the IT government conference. And yeah, I had the whole room texting Sunny at one point, and people love it.
Awesome. And just one final question for now. Just you mentioned that you're short staffed.
Yeah.
But so many other cities and counties who are on this call are also experiencing the somewhat monumental budget shortfalls.
Yep.
And they're all having to, address that, which is obviously not an easy thing to do. Can you just
Mhm.
speak a little bit about, yes, you're short staffed, that's the reason why, but just the immense nature of it for now.
Yeah, it is getting ugly. It's getting ugly over here in Denver. We had a significant uh, reduction in our budget last year, and we're getting further reductions this year. Now, if you work in the IT world, you know that that means we're not just not able to do more things. We're trying to figure out how we're just going to do what we've always done, because while our budget is getting cut, our vendors, our IT stack are charging us more every year for the same thing. So I'm getting, with Salesforce up charges me 7% a year if nothing changes. So we are really, really tight. And one of the things that we're talking about doing, and if I were you, Bratton and I didn't clear this, but if I were you, I would start talking to Citibot about their voice bot, because what their voice bot product is doing is they can answer your phone with the chat bot, and you can verbally do everything you're doing with the chatbot in typing. You can just do it vocally. And the idea being that we want to consolidate the way that the gateway to Denver. We want to simplify that. Right now, you can call 311 and get to anything. And then we want to kind of remove from all those call takers, those people, all those white noise calls I mentioned. The how do I find a rec center? Where is my closest food bank? Things that are all answerable on the website, a voice bot can do on the phone call and be done. So that's where I'm going next. And just to give you an idea of the way this is played out in Denver. And for those of you who don't have a 311 setup, because I know that you got to be kind of a critical mass to get that. Before we had 311, Denver residents had to figure out who to call, and we had 2,500 individual phone numbers. That's a nightmare for a resident. Even if you're finding them on a website, that's a nightmare. So by bringing the 311 call center in, we were able to take a lot of those phone numbers and squeeze them all into 311. Now, 311 is somewhat specialized. We're not the receptionist for the city. So we have the calls go to 311 that we know that we can help. We have an 80% first contact resolution metric that we strive for. So we want to be able to not just transfer you quickly into the right person, we want to actually fix your problem. So we still have other call centers in Denver. We have 14 other call centers that some of them they get calls transferred to, some are direct dial. But what we're looking at next is putting Sunny over all of those phone numbers, allowing them to answer whatever calls, questions they can answer, and then only sending to the agents that small percentage that actually needs a person to do the transformational. Again, we want the machines to do the transactional so our people can do the transformational. So having the chat bot is an excellent way to pick up the digital babies that are coming, because they do not want to call you and they're already annoyed if they have to. I read a study that said the average customer service caller has already spent 20 minutes trying to self-serve on a website to avoid a 3-minute phone call. And I was like, that sounds crazy. And that's exactly what I do. I had enough awareness to realize I'm that statistic. So if you have what I'm seeing for me is if I have a combination of the phone bot and the chat bot, now I'm really cooking with fire, because I still have a large population in Denver that's my age and older, and they want to talk to somebody. They want to, and for the most part, bots can suffice. A good chat bot can do that trick. It doesn't have to be a person. It has to be something that's conversational, that listens well, and responds appropriately. And that's my next big play with Citibot is the voice bot.
Thank you, Laura. And to that point, these are the channels that we currently operate in. We're on your website, we're available via text. We have our voice system, as Laura just mentioned. We're on Facebook Messenger. A lot of your local governments, receive a lot of Facebook Messenger communications.
Cost is so high.
And then they're managing that channel. And it takes a lot of time from your communications professionals to do that. So we can place the bot in the Facebook Messenger, interface on your respective Facebook pages. And then we've also added WhatsApp. Denver uses WhatsApp. A number of
We
our other
do.
cities do.
Mhm.
And it's all about connecting to, and our mission is to serve all people. And that's why we offer these channels as options, because different people want to communicate through different channels.
Mhm.
And we want to respect that, and make them available. 52% of the Latino population in our country are regular users of WhatsApp, and a lot of governments don't know that, but that is the truth. I wish I had the data on the other continents, other cultures, and that have located here. And
I can tell you an interesting story though, Bratton, about our use of Citibot and languages. So before we launched Citibot in March of 2024, if you asked people around Denver, the communications people, what languages they needed to put information out in, the perception was we were definitely English. We have a high concentration of Spanish speaking, and then if we grab Vietnamese, we probably hit the vast majority. And when we launched, and Sunny speaks in 72 native languages, people don't have to pick a language. They don't have to grab a drop box or put in what they want to speak. It just understands it. So we had people immediately using their native language. Within the first 4 months, we had already served people in 42 unique languages. And we were able to get from Citibot data from that. So we knew what languages they were calling. We also knew what topics they were most focused on. This gave us the ability in Denver to first off understand truly how diversified we are. We are a multicultural, multi-language city, period. Getting to English, Spanish, and Vietnamese was not cutting it. And this really opened up the eyes of a lot of the decision makers in Denver. And we've used that data to make lots of other decisions. We've kind of discovered the Somali population in a particular area in Denver. And after looking in deeper, we determined that outside of Somalia, we have the highest concentration of Somalis in Denver. We did not know that, and we did not take advantage of that, and we did not do anything to cater to this population, and now we do. So there's a kind of unintended wonderful consequences that you will find in your Citibot data that you will not find without it.
Thank you, friend. And Laura mentioned earlier the extensive work, and she hired Micah to do the work, to do the website cleanse and make it ADA compliant, because that was all needed to be done by, I believe it was like the end of June of 25.
And it took me 2 years.
Yeah. And so, and then we work, with a lot of non-311 local governments too. And pretty much the reality across the board is that local governments need some help with making their websites ADA compliant, but also making their websites AI ready, and also making their website data pristine. So whether you're using chat or not, that people can rely on the information that's from your knowledge source. And then in the case of 311s, typically y'all are managing 2 different knowledge sources. You've got your knowledge source for your call center, typically, which is separate and distinct from the website. And we tell all these local governments, it's like you're wasting a lot of time if you're managing 2 different knowledge sources from a city, from a efficiency standpoint. It gets confusing, and then you got to match them up with each other, and make sure they're consistent. That's not an easy process. So what we did is we built Refresh, which we launched a few months ago, to productize the experience that Denver went through that took 2 years by scanning your website and all your PDFs and looking for content that is both inaccurate, out of date, and then as Laura said, they rewrote the content in 6th grade English. We're set to rewrite all the content on your website that is above a 7th grade reading level. So when Laura was talking about getting rid of the acronyms and you all have multiple content editors and they all have different writing styles and they all have different senses of awareness of what residents might be able to understand. And, part of all of this is we need to make sure that we clean these websites up. So we use AI to show you where all the places are where you need to fix and show you how to fix them. And then, like I said, we rewrite all the content that is above a 7th grade reading level. We can adjust that for you if you want to go to 6th grade or 5th grade or whatever that is. And then on the compliance side, we do the same. So for WCAG 2.1, we will index all of the ADA compliance issues that you have, whether it's in your website, whether it's in your PDFs, to highlight for you what needs to be fixed, and we show you how to fix it. And with your PDFs, we inventory them for you, because I ask these local governments to say, hey, how many PDFs do you have on your website, and do you inventory them? And so we automatically do that, and then we want to help you, with the ADA process. What we found is about 90% of your PDFs should be archived that are on your website. And so we want to get you to archive all the PDFs that you can. And then for the ones that remain, we want to convert them to HTML content is the best practice. But if you want to hold on to the PDF, then we got to go into the PDFs and show you how to fix them to make them ADA compliant. And that means, just like what Denver did, what that means is you don't need any other ADA product for people to access your website. We just clean the content in such a way that it can be consumed by everyone, which is very important, whether you're blind or deaf, etc. And you don't need other systems that do a much worse job of remediation. And in that way, we make your content pristine, but it also makes it AI ready. So, you can, and, Laura, Denver's been working with Refresh. Micah's been working with Refresh. I don't know, Laura, if you just want to make a comment about that.
Yeah, I asked him if we had Refresh when we started this cleanup of denvergov.org, how long would it have taken us? And he estimated 3 to 6 months. And we spent 2 years on it. So I'll just let that hang there for a minute.
Sure. Okay, well, I know we have some questions. Are those in chat or do we have questions now, or how do we do questions, Monica?
However you want to do it, Bratton. I don't see any specific typed questions. So if you have questions, if you'll put them in chat, or I know that along the way, people have been asking questions and they've been answered in the chat.
Okay. All right. Well, Nick, let's get back to you a little bit. Sorry. And what are the channels for Citibot that y'all are using?
Yes, so currently we have the text channel. When we first reached out to you guys, the mayor in Revere loved the idea of being able to just text City Hall. So we went with that. We are exploring currently the AI voice, specifically to help with like after hours with residents contacting us. Because same with, as Laura mentioned, budget's tight here in Revere too, especially with like reduced federal and state funding. We had to call Taker, who was funded by ARPA during COVID and all that, and that money's expiring. So any way we can to enhance our operations and have a cost-effective way to support our team here, it's definitely worth exploring. And while we're on the topic of the website stuff,
Sure.
that really held us accountable to make sure that our website is up to date. You can ask department heads a million times to update their page, and they'll still have some old information on there. So that has been great to just make sure that the bot's pulling accurate information, and residents are getting accurate information from our website.
Thank you, bud.
Problem.
All right, I'm looking for this question, Monica. Or if you want to read it out.
Yes, sir. I did ask for the agency. Our representatives and website reflect the unique personality of our city. They bring the empathy and authenticity that are core to our brand and why customers trust us and continue to call us or use our site, even in the age of search engines and AI chat. How did/do you design your chatbots to meet residents' needs without losing that trusted human local touch?
Laura, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I can start. So it's a great question. Empathy, Citibot has done a really good job of building in empathetic skills into the bot. So we didn't have to do a lot of work on that. Where we're still working on it is one of the things that Bratton didn't mention about Refresh that it offers is the ability to create a flavor or a voice for your city, a way of speaking. And right now I have 150 web authors, so I kind of have 150 voices. So one of the things we're excited about using Refresh for in the coming year or years is developing a true voice of Denver that comes through whether you're talking to an agent, whether you're reading it on the website, or whether you're engaged with a voice chat or excuse me, a voice bot or a chat bot. And their systems are going to let us do that. I agree with you. There are aspects of human being call taking that I think the need will always be there. What we're just finding is that the appetite for that, the need for that is diminishing because these people who were born with iPads in their grocery cart going around with their mommy and they've never kind of put the tech down, they'll use a customer service line, but they're pretty desperate when they do. It's usually because they've exhausted all other channels, and that's becoming more and more true. So what I'm focused on is having really well-paid, well-trained, long-time employees handling those calls now and in the future, because they're not just taking the route and the routine. So I think in the long run, that voice of the customer service agent is going to become more important because the level of concern that's being brought to them is higher than what they're getting now. Still, even though we're pushing a lot through the bot, we still get a lot of people that call us and ask us what the hours are for the rec center. But over time, I'm seeing my customer service agent becoming more and more of a specialized position that really is a true professional. Right now, it's the entry-level position in the city for the most part. And I see that maybe that stays true, or maybe someone else takes that spot. But over time, we're seeing already that we're dealing with more and more a degree of difficulty, and that requires a higher level of empathy, a higher level of understanding. But I'm happy to tell you that the bots are not robotic, believe it or not. They're very conversational, they're empathetic, and people respond to it. I think we're past the days where bots tried to pretend they were people and then got quickly caught. Now a good empathetic bot is appreciated.
Well, and I would also add, just with websites in general, is 99.9% of local government websites are organized by departments and their respective content.
Yeah. Yep.
And that is not congruent with what residents understand about city government or county government, because they have absolutely no idea what your departments do. Some residents do, but your average citizen does not. And, you know, when we look at resident experience, it's like, and, you know, government over time needs to do a better job of making decisions that are driven by what the desired resident experience should be. And that is, and to Laura's point about the 20 minutes looking at a website before they make a phone call, you know, we want to enable people to show up at your website wherever they come in, through Google to the Parks and Rec page or to the homepage. 75% of people that access your website are not coming through the homepage, so that when they show up, they can ask the question that they're trying to ask and be served in the moment and not have to navigate a website to figure out who they need to talk to in the building permitting office to deal with a particular, you know, permitting question, as an example. I want to free them up and give them, you know, the opportunity to have, you know, a customer service experience that they're more and more expecting, because of what we see out in the private sector.
Bratton, thank you. We're getting a lot more questions.
Oh, you are?
2:58. I want to be respectful of people's time. We'll make sure that I think if Citibot can stay on, we can continue to ask questions and we can record it and then send you the answers, or get Citibot to help us out with answering. So whatever you want to do, Bratton, but I think our next question was, our CRM includes over 500 different processes and flows because we have a unique if then and maybe scenarios. How long would the process like that take to work through?
So what we try to do is apply the 80-20 rule to workflows. So we don't want to mess with the 20% that are the onesies and twosies that people are reaching out to you about. It's not worth the work. But we want to apply the 80-20 rule for the 80% of the more frequently, you know, presented service requests, I'm presuming. We can go in and study your if then. You know, we did that with Denver, same thing. Understand your if then communications so that we can fill those data fields in the proper service requests category in your CRM, so that the data is populating those categories as you would expect them to if it was coming from a call taker themselves. I hope that helps.
And Bratton, I need to jump to
Yes.
my next adventure. I put my email address in the chat for anyone who'd like to reach out on any questions about Denver or Citibot or the combination. And I thank you for the invitation to participate today. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Laura, for being here.
Brent, there's a question for Nick. I'm interested in learning what Nick's cost per contact is with this same integrated chatbot. What was it before and how much did it go down? Thank you.
Yes, Jenny, thank you for the question. I actually don't know, never calculated that, because currently the way our system's set up, just to give you an idea, our call center volume is typically 30,000 calls per year. The texting feature that we implemented with Piper is fairly new. So it's kind of in addition to right now and ways to contact us. So don't have an exact figure for you.
Laura, if you're still here, thanks for your question. The answer is yes. You define what the escalation paths are, and we can do it by content. And if we're talking about voice, we can whisper in the ears of the person that's going to answer the call and let them know what the content of the call is. And then you can coordinate that in terms of during business hours or not. So I hope that helps answer your question.
You had one more. Do you use customer conversations to train your models?
We do just all the historical data that we have from being in the industry for 10 years. We've got a good, we better have a good understanding of what your residents are reaching out to you about, why they're reaching out to you. And there's a lot of consistency across cities of different sizes, counties of different sizes as well. So we want to bring that expertise to support you. Am I missing
right.
anything?
No, I think you got it all. Thank you, everyone. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Bratton.
You talk, my friend.
Okay.
Close this out.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Citibot's information is on the screen right now. It'll also be part of the recording. I'll have the recording and the presentation on our website later this week, as well as emailing it out to all of the participants. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to questions@agccp.org. And thank you so much to all of our presenters today. We appreciate you.
Thank you back, my dear friend. Take care, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thanks, Nick.